Welcome, everyone. This is Finally News, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin,
Hi.
Sanswinda,
Hello.
Quarendus,
Hello, everyone.
and Calabathian.
Petty, because you need a dictionary, SSG.
Let's head into the game news, where we have a little bit of a response to Update 28.3 release notes.
Just a little one.
Just a little one. In here we have for items, physical mastery and tactical mastery values for legendary item titles have been increased across all tiers, which is probably the only good news relating to legendary items that's in here.
Don't know why they're bothering.
Yes. And these changes to barter Scrolls of Empowerment will not affect items that are already been acquired. So Scrolls of Empowerment available to barter at Dol Amroth Quartermaster will now cap at a max tier of 44. Scrolls of Empowerment available for barter at Narnath at Minas Tirith will cap at max tier 59. And Scrolls of Empowerment available for barter from the Rangers of Ithilien Quartermaster will cap at max tier 59. The newly added quest, Scrolls of Empowerment, for Host of the West silver pieces daily, awards 1 Scroll of Empowerment, max tier 59, in exchange for 50 Host of the West silver pieces. The newly added quest, Scrolls of Empowerment, for Host of the West silver pieces weekly, awards 3 Scrolls of Empowerment, max tier 59, in exchange for 100 Host of the West silver pieces. The quest Restoring the Three Kingdoms now awards 3 Scrolls of Empowerment, max tier 69. Quest Protecting the Bjornings now awards 2 Scrolls of Empowerment, max tier 79. Quest Protecting the Elves now awards 2 Scrolls of Empowerment, max tier 79. Quest Protecting the Woodsmen now awards 2 Scrolls of Empowerment, max tier 79. Quest of March on Gunabad additional steps daily now awards 2 Scrolls of Empowerment at max tier 83, and the quest War Effort Threats onto the Battlefield now awards 3 Scrolls of Empowerment with a max tier cap of 83.
All of that, and I can't get to it because I don't have the gear, and I can't get the gear.
Well, tradable Unbound Reputation-gated tokens now have appropriate region quests gating their usage. Small reputation accelerator tomes offered at skirmish vendors now bind to account on acquire. Note, this change in binding to barter small reputation accelerator tomes will not affect items that are already acquired. If you have completed the appropriate tiered instance deed, you can now barter for gear from Amdan Damu, the Bloody Threshold, and Shakalush, the Stair Battle. Barter vendors can be found at the bottom of the steps in Anarkhufu and will accept Emperors of Enchantment in exchange for gear. And the rare Three Peaks jewelry from Amdan Damu, the Bloody Threshold, and Shakalush, the Stair Battles, now correctly binds to account instead of to character when acquired. Whew. Now, we will save Sanswinda's rebuttals to this when we get to her article, right, Sans?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. For Monster Play, general ratings for creeps have been toned down slightly to bring them more in line with average free player, and several creep mitigations and mitigation buffs have been reduced, varies by class. War Leader heals have been improved. Defiler heals have been reduced.
Because that makes all kinds of sense, but you know what? Keep going.
In creep area of effect healing has been reverted to affect warband groups only to reduce issues caused by heal tagging. And
because that was the real issue.
And Osgiliath's one-shotters now engage enemies at 40-meter range. Any comments on this one before I go on?
There's lots more creeps on the moors than freeps still, so there's not much to test it against.
Okay.
Yeah, and no joke, there's so many creeps on the moors at this point that literally it keeps you from logging in saying there are too many creeps on the moors, and until people log off, you're not allowed to get on.
You're kidding.
No.
No, there's a
No,
queue
we're
to
not
get on
kidding.
Creepside.
Last night we hopped on. I think it was last night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And this is before anyone really else got on. I was, hopping on, and I had to wait like 5-10 minutes because it was all grayed out. It wouldn't let me enter, and the message when you hovered over it said there were too many creeps. And then once I was on, we were, all kind of filtering in. In the OOC room and everything, they were talking about, like when I first got on, about how people had come back, like old players were coming back for creeps. And nobody knew why. And I'm sitting here thinking, I know why. It's not because everybody's real cool.
Right?
Might have a little something to do with the fact that they just made allies and gear harder to get, but nobody knows why.
Yes. For quests, Elder Slade March on Gunabad additional steps daily now properly specifies that only completing 4 of the 7 quests is required to advance it. Elder Slade March on Gunabad additional steps daily will no longer auto-advance upon accepting the quest after completing it for the first time. As for miscellaneous things, patching via the launcher should go much faster, especially if you have not played in a while. I should note that this is only after the launcher is updated. So on 28.3, they first had to update the launcher so they could implement this. So it was still a long patch to some because you had a long patch to update the launcher in the first place. But future patches should be significantly faster based on what Cordovin said yesterday.
By the way, there was a question in the chat from Doralyn. Did the melee range change for instances to change? I wasn't sure if that was right or not, but change. For the instances to Bloody Threshold melee classes were mentioning how far away they were and still able to hit things.
I know that last night the melee classes were talking about that they felt like range classes at how far they were away when they were hitting.
I haven't heard anything official about it, though, so maybe? Terry can hit things very far away, though. I know this. So...
Well, Xing Xing is an 8.2 meter range anyway. Raging Blade.
Right.
I don't actually, I didn't pay attention, so I couldn't honestly tell you. I use movement assistance in combat, so it pulls me close to my target anyway. It's not cheating.
Sometimes it'll pull you off a bridge into a den of spiders, though, and that's pretty evil of it.
Well, yeah, there's some questionable mechanics when you use that skill. But yeah, I didn't notice anything going on with range particularly.
So it just randomly creates a den of spiders to pull you off into, Sans?
I mean, it felt like that. I learned later that they hang out underneath that particular bridge, and I've avoided going down there ever since. But yes.
Yeah. And also, the effect display system has been updated to improve client performance during group combat, particularly in raids. As for known issues, characters are not receiving the proper heritage titles for the newly selected nationalities during a race change. This will be corrected in a future patch, and we intend to make the correction retroactive. And that is it for the patch notes. Soon after that, we had a little post here from Cordovin saying, here is our current plan for a patch in the near future. Here is our current plan for Scrolls of Empowerment for a patch in the near future. Please note that any possible changes are subject to further change before being released, and the distribution of this information here and now should not be construed as a promise. Oh
It's
boy.
all still tentative.
Yes, the Dole Amroth Quartermaster now will offer Scrolls of Empowerment Max Tier 59 for 15 Amroth silver pieces instead of Scrolls of Empowerment Max Tier 44 for 20 pieces. The Rangers of Athelian Quartermaster will offer Scrolls of Empowerment Max Tier 64 for 12 East Gondor silver pieces instead of Tier 59 for 15 Gondor silver pieces. Narnate at Minas Tirith now will. I'm trying to say this in future tense since they haven't implemented it yet, but I keep on reading this more literally. Yes. For Scroll of Empowerment Max Tier 69 for 3 Minas Tirith Smith's tokens instead of Max Tier 59 for 4 Minas Tirith Smith's tokens. And the Host of the West daily for 2 Scrolls of Empowerment 274 instead of 1 Scroll of Empowerment Max Tier 59. And for the weekly, 5 Scrolls of Empowerment Max Tier 74 instead of 3 Scrolls of Empowerment 59. Quest Restoring the Three Kingdoms will award 5 Scrolls of Empowerment Max Tier 79 instead of 3 Max 69. Protecting the Bjornings will award 3 Max Tier 83 instead of 2 Max Tier 79. Protecting the Elves will award 3 Scrolls of Empowerment Max Tier 83 instead of 2 Max Tier 79. And Protecting Woodmen will award just the same as I just said for protecting the Elves and Bjornings. So they're going to make some tweaks to it at some point in the future. Said maybe next week, but as usual, it all depends on what the schedule looks like next week and making sure there are no other bugs to fix or anything like that. And of course, since Winda, I believe, put on her math hat in order to check all this stuff out, I don't know how much of this takes into account the update in there, but
none of it takes into account the update. If you do take into account the update and you do it at the fastest speed possible, you're back to 42 days, and it's way more complicated, so it is not a win with the update. However, not taking into account the update, you're at 3 to 6 months per LI of work to get it, assuming that you can put in roughly an hour a day of gaming to, like, specifically grind scrolls. Dodgerian points out that if you can put in more than an hour a day grinding scrolls, you might be able to do it in more time. Or less time. You might be able to do it in closer to the current time if you have everything already unlocked and can spend however much time it takes to do all of that in one day. I don't have the time or patience to do all of that in one day. I would burn out before I finished one day of doing all of that. So I have written from the standpoint of if I can't do it in the amount of time it takes to do the Minas Tirith dailies, it does not count as part of one day's work. Because, like, I can do a lot of other things in that much time too. And at this point, I would rather wash dishes than try to figure out how much places I could go in 45 minutes to get 6.5 scrolls that I can't actually get so that I can bang my head against a wall. So, I mean, the good news is my house is cleaner this week than it was last week because it's more fun to do housework now than it is to look at my LIs. But, yes, with the way this update currently stands, unless you plan to put in all day, every day on a character, it will take you 3 to 6 months, depending on what you currently have unlocked, to max 1 LI. Every character needs at least 2, minstrels need 4, Runekeepers need 6. Well, okay, so some people argue that Runekeepers could get away with like 4, but they need more than 2 as well. There are other classes that need more than 2. This is not good news for anybody. And yeah, everybody's been telling them, and they're like, oh, well, we can make it like worse than it was before, but like slightly better than it is now. And I say phooey on that. But I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but until I can get the same number of scrolls in the same number of time, or same amount of time, it's not actually a fix for me. And it just isn't. And the other thing that I discovered this week that is not in these notes is that all of these scrolls, it doesn't say so anywhere in the notes, but all of these new scrolls are bound to account. So what that means is when I took character through somewhere, like I took Celeborn through, I can't give the scrolls to Celeborn. I can't give the scrolls to my other account. My other account has Ariad characters on it because I wanted more characters to try out at higher levels. But they haven't unlocked all the content yet. Like, now I can't give it to myself. I can't give it to a friend. Like, sure, I could give it to another one of my alts if I wanted to spend, like, the rest of my life grinding their allies. So, my opinion of this update is even worse than it was at the beginning of the week.
Ouch!
Yeah. Like, at this point, I would rather wash dishes for a potluck daily, and I hate washing dishes after a potluck, so,
Who wouldn't?
well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad, but this ally grind is even worse now, and it is very, very bad. I mean, like, Dorlin just said that somebody just posted in-game, like, sometimes I think LOTRO must feel we don't have stuff to do in real life. And I kind of feel that way, because, like, if it's like, I really don't want to run Minas Tirith dailies, but I really don't want to do the dishes, and I can run Minas Tirith dailies with friends, like Minas Tirith dailies 1. And now it's like, well, I don't really want to do dishes, but, like, I don't even want to open LOTRO because the grind ahead of me is way too high, so, like, I guess I'll do dishes and, like, maybe talk to my friends in voice. So
It's strange. Now, of course, I'm the person who has never done the Minas Tirith. All right, the only time I've ever done the Minas Tirith dailies, I believe, is when Sanswinda dragged me through them.
Yeah, I think I dragged you through them because you were a little bit squishier than you wanted to be, and I was showing you how to fix it. But no, don't worry. Like, you may as well just get rid of your allies, because the landscape stuff's going to be better, so don't actually get rid of your allies, probably. They might actually fix this someday, and then you'd regret it. But
yes, I believe at the time Sanswinda said that they said something about making it better, but apparently they don't know the definition of the word better, and they need to get some better dictionaries or some different ones. Hence my initial PETTY, because you need a dictionary, SSG. This is not what better means.
no, and like the next update, like, it has slightly better, like, numbers, but the route to get them is way more complicated and requires doing, like, almost everything in a ton of different zones. And my Ariad characters, like, have enough on their plate, even if all they do is the epic to get through to, like, open the gates of Mordor. Like they still have so much catching up to do everywhere that, no, like, that's not worth it. No. It's not a good solution for me.
Well,
so.
you do have a little bit of an addiction on those Ariad characters, but I think they just broke it.
Oh yeah, they broke it. They maybe they made it better. If by better they mean they don't want me to spend money on their game. But yeah.
And she's not the only one. I've finally got an Aria for Celeborn, and for I've got them, but I've just literally got to where I could finally get my first age allies on the road to actually being something that I can use to actually start my gear grind over level like 100 so I can actually get gear. And it's like, well, now suddenly I cannot get my allies up in enough time to do this. I mean, it's like I've been here, 8 years now almost? And some people have been here even longer than that and may be in this situation. But, you finally get on the road to doing this to finally unlock that advanced, upper level content that they want to push so much, and they want to put out all this new stuff that requires you to have LIs, and gear to actually do. And it's like, if you can't get your LIs, you're not going to be able to get your gear because you kind of need the LIs to help get your gear. Or like a whole bunch of friends that already have it.
Okay, like, you guys who were here before, like, didn't they promise that these LIs were going to grow with us? I'm pretty sure I was working on, like, my level 51 when I heard this, but, like, didn't they promise that these imbued allies were going to grow with us?
That was the idea behind the imbued allies, yes.
It didn't work out very well, apparently,
No,
in the long
Like,
run.
it really
maybe
didn't.
they should go back to that, because, like, at this point it feels like maybe they want us to just quit at level 100. Like, I mean, they keep pushing out further in-game content, but maybe their goal is that we just never play it. I don't know.
Well, I strongly doubt that because we've got Gundabad coming out
Yeah.
later this year,
Yeah,
and
well,
when
good luck
Gundabad comes
selling
out,
Gundabad when nobody can play it.
Well, maybe they're addressing things like raid lag by making sure there's nobody in those areas.
But no, my
it
big
might
point is
actually
that
take care of the raid lag if only a handful of people can get their allies maxed and go raiding.
Yeah, my point is that I'm ready, and wanting to go out with like you guys who do have LIs and gear and can take on some of this, the raids and stuff at these higher levels. So I can finally get in with that because my gosh, it's fun. It sounds fun. And now I'm going to have to spend like almost a year grinding to get my LI before I can even start getting the gear and do that grind to get into everything. And I'm like, what's the point?
Like, they could hand us a fully maxed LI and not take away the need to grind.
well, anyway, see, that's the advantage of being a warden. The legacies are so bad that half the you don't care about raising half the legacies. So that halves the grind. That's what happens when you take a class that has good legacies.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And that's not even okay. Here's another thing.
No,
What
that's
are we
fair,
going
Frank.
to do? No, here's something, guys. I mean, it is fair, but they're planning on a whole new class, aren't
Maybe
they?
the new
Yeah, good
class
luck with
won't
that.
need allies. Maybe it'll be like the class whose weapons are their fists, and they actually grow with them because
No,
they're attached.
I have a feeling that they're going to be legendary Cesti that they'll have to pick up.
And it's like, here's a whole new class that you're literally going to have to spend the next like 5 to 10 years of your life grinding to even get up into this content that, we're planning, next year and the year after and stuff like that. I'm not even excited for Gundabad because at this point, there's a lot of stuff that you need your LIs for that I'm not going to be able to get to that I spent nearly $200 on, Minas Morgul and all this other stuff beyond that. It's like I can spend $150, $160 for some of these special editions. And I can't play them until, what? What is the frickin' point? Can I get my money back? No.
I think this is the disadvantage of a strongly equipment-based MMO because everything is centered around equipment in LOTRO, I feel like, and
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
because like you have to for your allies. Like, there's two different things that you have to grind for your allies. You have to grind for the scrolls of empowerment that we're complaining about right now, because now it's going to take 6 months per ally roughly. Then you also have the starlit crystals though that actually affect your DPS output directly. And then you have the relics that go on the back end of that. So I guess you've got even more. You've got however many relics there are, plus the crystals, plus the scrolls to grind out per ally. And then you have to get the gear, but then the gear has holes in it. So then you have to get the essences. But then they release better essences, so then you have to find the essence reclamation scrolls, and then you have to, well, then there's probably better gear before you get the better essences, so then you get the better gear, and then you get better essences for the better gear, and, like, that never stops. And then you're supposed to be working on your virtues at the same time. Like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah. And yeah, I like the storylines of LOTRO a lot better, but I think that ESO's progression system works in many ways better.
I like the progression system in ESO a lot. I really like it. And I like the landscapes and the scenery, and, like, I like LOTRO stories, but I get really sick and tired of being so squishy that I have to grind for even more stuff. Like, I'd rather do dishes at this point, and that's bad. I hate dishes.
All right. Anything else before we continue? Then let's have another minor piece of bad news, and that is world transfers are temporarily disabled for reasons of maintenance. They'll announce when transfers will be available again, and they expect transfers to remain disabled for a few days. And they're saying that they think the ability to transfer from the old worlds will be available soon, but then, of course, how many times have you heard that already? So
A lot.
yeah, I think they might almost be to the point where they could put a really in front of the soon, but yeah, still a little time on that one. Then let's go into some good news, and that is the War 3 Peak soundtrack is now available on YouTube. And yeah, that's quite a playlist there. When I saw my YouTube subscription page was just filled up with War 3 Peaks music.
That's okay,
Well,
because
I mean,
on my
at this
Facebook
point-
was full of Bernie in a chair, so, you know.
I mean, at this point, the music is the best thing to come out of the War of the Three Peaks update.
Other than
I
poop
have
pants.
not seen changes that were booed over as much as since Trey Trace. So, Helm's Deep? Because everybody hated trait trees. But we got used to them.
We got used
But
to them, yeah.
trait trees, I mean, in the long run, trait trees have actually been beneficial to the game. I don't actually think that this update is in any way beneficial to the game. Because this update really sucks. It really, really sucks. I mean, honestly, there is nothing positive to say about the changes that they made to scrolls, which really don't make any sense whatsoever.
Let's then head on to the... Oh.
Just a second. It actually does make some sense for the legendary servers, though. To give them a little bit of credit, like, if all they're worried about is the legendary servers, like, this update probably actually makes really good sense, because they'll have the 42 days for each area at end game to work on this. But, like, on the live servers, it would make much more sense to make a good source of scrolls available at, like, Limlock or someplace where we can get to it, because expecting us to relive all of the end caps just to have a functional level 130 weapon is not nice.
Well, and they kept saying that they weren't going to implement changes from legendary servers that were going to impact live servers, and clearly that was not the case.
Right, and they clearly don't like the auction house, because we can't even, like, say, oh, well, I know a good way to make gold, so I'll make some gold and buy it and save myself the grind.
Yeah,
like,
At this point, they might as well just get rid of the auction house because they keep binding everything to account like they don't want us to use the auction house.
So I don't know what their long-term game is for this, but for those of us on the live servers who want to have 130 weapons and have the ability to have 130 weapons because the level cap is 130 on the regular servers, I think that we need a much better solution quickly, and it needs to be much better than the proposed changes that are minor tweaks. Especially since some of those quests are a real pain to open, and they only reset bi-weekly, and they're giving scrolls as though they reset every hour. So...
Can we talk about the rep clickies really quickly? Now that change has gone into effect and we actually know which quests they want us to do, what the heck?
Who even does the first gear quest when you're level 35 to do the Thorin's Hall rep stuff? Like, where did that even come from? Like, my elf quested very thoroughly through Ered Luin and never encountered that quest. She's got rep with Thorin's Hall, she's done quests for people from Thorin's Hall, she's talked to Glowin, like, she's turned in tasks for Thorin's Hall. Like, they clearly know who she is, and it's like, no, you cannot use this rep clicky now that's sitting in your inventory because you didn't do the first gear. What?
Now, the first gear, to me, it sounds like such a basic quest. I'd never thought of anyone not of doing it if they went to
I never do
Thorns.
it.
Why would I do it?
I never do it. Like, even on my dwarf characters, I never do it.
I've done it on, like,
because I'm
dwarf
usually doing the epic quest to get the heck out of Thorin's Hall.
And besides which, if that's the level that you can do it, like, maybe the Thorin's Hall rep should be usable at level 5. Like, that's a baby quest.
That's fair.
For baby dwarves who've just gotten out of the intro and don't know what they're doing. Like...
Oh, here, there's this guy standing over here by the statue. I'll talk to him. Exactly.
Oh well.
I haven't looked at all of the quests. Like, one of the Moria ones made more sense than the other Moria one, but... Oh yeah, the Bree one was Dead Spire. Like, how do you get, like, all the way to the Dead Spire quest without getting those rep clickies? You don't. Like...
What? Yeah, but the rep clickies most of the rep clickies come from the Barrow Downs.
They do,
yeah, but like, maybe discovering the Barrow Downs is all you need to be able to use them. Or, like, maybe finding that one dead guy and turning in that quest is all you need to do.
Talk to Bob to get that quest for the Dead Spire, not go all the way out and get those 3 rocks, which, by the way, there are only 3 rocks, and they disappear if you pick them up. So if you happen to be with a group of people, you actually have to pick up, like, 18 rocks, and you have to wait minutes.
For all of them to respawn.
That's not a short respawn on those. They're not like a 5-second respawn. We're talking minutes for those things to come back.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You have to, like, stand around and wait and wait and wait and wait. And if that's the rep thing, like, then how many people do you have standing around waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting? Like, why don't you have something awful like Enter Tardan's Tomb? Like, I hate that place. But, like, anyway, they're
would you rather than make it the Lalia quest?
No, unless it's like the Find Lalia, and you like, oh hey, there's a
I would
hobbit on
take
the rock.
the Find Lalia because I find Lalia all the time. I usually set her loose and let her go.
But like, it could just be like find the dead guy on the pass, or like talk to Bob. But no, it's like go wait for these 3 rocks that like take forever to respawn. I don't know. I don't think that the quests actually make that much sense for the rep gating. Some of them make more sense than others, like you have to actually open Moria to use one of the Moria things. But opening Moria to use one of the Moria things, which made sense, does not let you use the other Moria thing, and you have to find some random quest to kill Deep Claws to get that. Like, what? Why? Like, only my characters who go on the field trip have ever completed that quest.
Oh yeah, I forgot about you complaining about that one last night.
Yeah, I got a drop for the other faction, and I was like, oh cool, I can. Why can't I use this one? I've opened Moria. Oh well, apparently we have to go kill Deep Claws to use this. I had to even
Didn't we
look up
kill
the
those claws
quest.
5 seconds later?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you
we
guys
actually
knew
had
where
the
you were
quest, and
going, and we had the
we only
quest.
just had to turn it in. We had actually finished the quest. We just had to turn it in.
Okay.
But
But like, I never do that quest on my other characters. Like, why would I? You can just follow the epic and keep going. And get out of Moria quicker, even though they send you back.
Let's continue on to the LOTRO Beacon, issue 189. And for our community spotlight, Laurel and Arian has launched a new web comic project. You could read the first chapter on their Twitter feed. Winterstock 8 took place last weekend, and you can get the complete video of the event on Druid's Fire Twitch channel. Also, take a look at Udnardo's screenshot of the final evening below. Nekamalu X4 Creator Contest is down to your vote. Vote for your favorite housing screenshot over on their website. And Gamer Reverie continues looking at LOTRO's classes. Learn about the Warden on the Gamer Reverie blog. For the Kin Hall, Casual Raiders is a 4-year-old rank 10 social and rating kinship on Brandywine that does daily and weekly rating during EU-friendly times. The Kin also has their own Discord server, class, guides, and more. You can visit their Discord to learn more. Now for the weekly comment. Why doesn't Middle-earth have surfboards?
Because the devs have been so busy trying to make LI grind worse.
I guess I should have expected that answer.
I was going to say because it has no dudes, but okay, we'll go with the other one.
I mean, it probably does have surfboards, they're just not called that yet. They probably have some elvish name.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I guess
Our version of Middle-earth doesn't, for the reason I said first, but...
Okay. Yes, I would say that there is absolutely no reason why it wouldn't have surfboards. It's rather basic technology.
Well, I mean, the elves seem to come up with everything, and Elwing was just lifted up by Ulmo. I mean, why do you need surfboards?
I would think that
I
if
would
anyone
think
would have...
Go ahead.
I would think that the Numenorians would have invented surfboards because they were on an island.
Well, there was that great big wave at the end. Surely somebody would have figured it out.
Yes, but
hey,
I haven't...
Well, I'm sure, like, one of the elves was like... Even before that, though, like, one of the elves who would hang out with them was like, hey, guys, like... There was this one time, like, we were riding the waves, and it was really cool. Like, here's this really cool thing. You can do it, too. And... Yeah, I
There
totally
was
see
this
the
one gnarly
Numenorians.
wave, dude, and like...
No. That comes, like, way later in their history, when they're on bad terms. But, yeah.
Well, they're just talking about some of the smaller gnarly waves. I mean, totally just...
Yeah, they've got boats. Surely they've got surfboards. Even if they don't call them that.
There was a log, and it was floating in the water, and I hopped on it and was just like, and then I stood on it, and whoa, dude.
Gnarly waves.
Yes. Gnarly. Because the tree was gnarly, and the waves were gnarly.
Let's head to our fan site news, where Lena's Biscuity Burrow features the Vile Sleepy Oinker song. You get the tune on their blog. And last week, we talked about the latest goings on for the game because I'm pretty sure the devs did not want to repeat what we called the show last week.
Yeah. Cowards.
Yes.
It was true.
Yes. LOTRO Stream is your first stop to find LOTRO on Twitch. This week, Uger has an epic adventure. Glenn and Ori get to Rohan, and Michael DK2 streams from Evernight. And also on Twitch,
Adiel
Adelie Valathorn
Valathorn. Yeah, Adiel Valathorn.
travels in Wildermore. Geekbite gets a magic cam. And 3 Green Eye Gamer returns to her baby Rune Creeper. And over on YouTube,
I thought you said Rune Creeper. I was like, what? I think that's different. That dude is creeping on some runes.
Over on YouTube, Manapods continues his deep dive. Louis 7 reviews the year that was, and Elder Gamer Girl travels to the Lonelands. Then for our screenshot of the week, Brower sends you this beautiful evening screenshot. You can send your screenshots by emailing to lotro@standingstonegames.com. And that's it for the LOTRO Beacon this week. Now let's go and see what's on sale. Terry, what's on sale?
Well, I don't know. Hang on.
I know what was on sale.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a mishap where they accidentally posted legendary item sale, which apparently they didn't actually mean to post. But yeah, because it got a huge. There were some notes on Twitter after they retracted it and posted the actual correct sale. Because after making the really not at all well received changes to the buying scrolls of empowerment, that was not the time to do your LI sale.
Yeah, I thought it was that the LIs were actually happened to have been due on the rotation as it was, and that they didn't realize how politically sensitive the regular rotation item was.
They're real hard about that. I head in the sand. I have no idea what I'm doing thing right now.
They each need to just take a level 100 LI without any cool dev stuff and go max it out so that they can do 130 content. Like, give themselves a 130 character, go take an LI and fix this, because...
So instead of an LI sale, we get 25% off Virtue Acceleration Tome, trait slots, and Skilled and Slayer Deed Boost. Not that anybody's really playing the game right now, but that's on through January 28th, and our weekly coupon is Rejuvenation Potion times 5 with coupon code REJ5, Reg5, also
Sure.
through the 28th. There's a thing that I never use the coupon for because I get them out of Hobbit presents.
Yeah,
Hobbit presents.
You know who can use a rejuvenation potion right now?
LOTRO.
The game. LOTRO.
Yeah. Tangential side note, I happened to catch Cordovin's stream this week, and it turns out I am not the only person that hates dwarf candles. Because a couple of other people in the chat were actually asked if they could be removed from Hobbit presents too. So I feel vindicated now about my hatred of dwarf candles because they need to go away.
I will readily agree that they are awesome to use at concerts. I wish the cooldowns were shortened and that you could place them more quickly and that they lasted longer. But that's the only reason you need dwarf candles, and I really don't think that they need to be in the Hobbit presents.
You know, even if they just didn't take up space in my inventory, I would be happy with this.
You know, I have an idea for dwarf candles. They should have, like, you've got the guy who stands next to the stable master for Not Corfu to talk to you about mission stuff. You should be able to barter for dwarf candles with those stupid Gabalaka marks that you keep stacking up and can't spend on anything.
That would be
There is an idea.
And then, instead of dwarf candles, it could drop 20 scrolls of empowerment. that are not bound. I would
Keep
be a pretty
dreaming,
good
Sans.
trade.
Keep dreaming.
Yeah, keep dreaming, Sans. I'm sorry.
I like how in our show notes, by the way, we have now put LOTRO Players News is brought to us by Morton Salt.
Thank you for stealing my thunder.
Not there yet. That's a pine leaf line.
I'm sorry! Today I've been stupid, okay? I'm sorry. People have been pointing this out to me all day about how stupid I am, so, you know.
Well, now that we had the sponsorship spoiled, let's head into our site news where we have another chapter of A Berg's Tale. What's Morkendeer doing now?
Apparently killing the vibe. Also killing orcs and birds and learning a little bit of lore from our favorite ranger, but all he really wants is some food and a nap.
Salted food, probably.
Yeah. Because if you really, really want some salt, you should let Morkendeer handle all the sass that this is bringing up, because there are dump trucks that will not contain this man's salt if I let him loose. So I'm just saying. Of course, that's one character that's never going to get allies because they're not going to fix it, and I'm not doing that grind for him, so sorry!
Let's head to our weekend LOTRO. Calabathian, what were you up to?
I wonder. I opened Minas Tirith for LI running, finally! And then a couple days later, SSG crapped all over it. I'm still running MT dailies for the initial LI scrolls of empowerment, though, because they're good for up to tier 59. And I just started, so they'll be good for a little while yet. Wargos did wargoing. Has bitten, will bite again, maybe even tonight, who knows. And then I went to Moria with the Academy, but y'all, I get lost easily, and the group tends to chatter, and move on quick. So, suddenly I have this really full pack, and I just try to, get a few things out of it. I look back, and everybody's gone. This is not a good combo, because when I try to figure out where everybody went, it's Moria, and I get lost. So,
and there are very, very deep holes you can fall in.
Yes. We did do some jumping, though.
Place to get someplace.
Yeah, we did do some jumping, though. We jumped down a well, and we found one of the little places you can,
you went to the waterworks.
Yes, yeah. There's been a lot of waterworks this week. Yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
So how about you, Gorindus? How was your week?
Well, Guerra helped Sans finish her weeklies in Minas Morgul. That was after she completed her own with the captain. My woodworker is now completely gilded. She finished all that.
So nice and pretty with that gold leaf.
Yes, yes, she's very shiny. Well, she's a high elf.
Yeah, we got to have real gold.
She's shiny anyway.
So then, yeah, it's 2 more weeks until Knights of the White Lady have their housing tour, Street of Dreams. And I think I finally finished decorating my Rohan houses since I bought them last year. Finally. Maybe. We all know that I'm going to end up tweaking them. Anyway, Sans, what did you manage to get done in LOTRO this week?
Well, before the patch went live, my lore master went questing in Moria and survived the instances that killed Sans her first time at that level. So that was kind of cool. She did have to hide behind her pets though and almost died. So feel pretty good about how the hunter did without anything to hide behind. And Bofal finally got his war steed. Now to make sure both of them never reach level 100.
Well, they'll reach level 100 and then stop.
I don't know. I used to want to make it to level 100, but... Anyway, he's got a war steed, he can travel fast, it's cool. And I introduced Kelvorn to the Cisterns, but was very bummed to find out that the stupid scrolls are all bound to account right now. So, yeah. Like, not only are they way worse, but they're way, way worse. So, I mean, I guess in that sense, if, like, adding superlatives is better, it might be better. But it's not going in the right direction.
I'm waiting for the double superlatives to start.
Well,
I got some double superlatives for you.
anyway, I'm sorry, Calivorn. I cannot make your grind any better, and
I
I
know.
wish I could.
The only ones who can make it better are SSG, and they hate me.
Yeah, they kind of hate all of us right now for some
I wouldn't
reason.
take it personally.
Everybody else is hating on me today, so why not SSG? You know, I'll suck it up.
And then on
Continue.
Friday, because I was very salty, I destroyed my level 51 Hunter's allies on the field trip, and promptly started filtering all the stupid ally garbage, because if their goal is to make sure that we all play without allies, I may as well start early. Also, nobody noticed, so cool. Her DPS did not suffer that much at level 51. Stay tuned for further updates in which she gets creamed.
I don't know if it's that your DPS doesn't suffer or if there's just enough of us to kind of make up for it.
There are just so many of
There's-
us that I
there's
don't
like-
think there's much chance of anybody noticing until we get a solo-only instance.
There's like 3 tanks. I play a champion, and I'm not even the tank, okay?
So, yeah, we'll see when that, like, bites me and I can then complain about the regular weapons not doing what they're supposed to do. But, maybe my kiting will come in handy. Terry, how was your week?
Well, as Sans mentioned, Axley and friends finally got worst states and ran through the tutorial a couple of times. I don't know why, because I'm promptly going to forget how to worst state on a champion because I'm not going to be playing Axley for a little bit. Because I discovered that there's helping bears to be done in the War of Three Peaks area. So I did a little bit of going back over territory I've already covered because I started helping the bears thinking that there really wasn't that much to do and then discovered that there was way more to do than I thought there was, so I quit. So now I'm helping Sans and Pineleaf do all of the little bit that I thought there was, which is more than a little bit, so that they're caught up to where I am. And they're still not caught up because there's a lot of crap that the bears want you to do. But if we finish all of that out, then I can actually start to grind Scrolls of Empowerment in the Three Peaks area. I'm so not excited at all.
Bears aren't even offering us Scrolls of Empowerment worth our time.
No. Well,
Or
that's
honey cakes. They made us give them away.
Yeah, they made us give away lunch, and I thought Sans was going to cry when they told me to have the. It was actually kind of funny. And so then there was the missions thing. So you can do 15-minute missions a week for embers, because you get motes from like the missions themselves, and then from the wet wrappers and stuff. But then if you're at level 130, there's a separate quest where you can do 15 missions a week for embers. Which, if you're doing your four quests of 3 missions a day, it works out to 12 missions. So if you like add an extra mission for 3 of those days, you can get it done in your 4 days. Well, or you do missions for 5 days, however you want to do it. But so I thought I was going to be smart because I had already done 1 day of my 4 for the missions. So I was like, okay, well, I will do 4 missions today, and then I will have, 1 extra mission, and then the next 2 days I'll do more missions. So I did 4 missions, and then I looked at Elof, and I was going to turn in the quest, and it turned out that I had never actually taken the quest to begin with. So yeah, that happened. That would have been great to figure out like before I did all 4 of those missions. But my Arkenstone Runekeeper got further into Moria. And I'm actually kind of in this plan to not use LIs. Except I'm getting the feeling that it's probably going to be really hard on the Runekeeper because I don't know that there are actually viable alternatives that they give you. after level 50, whatever.
Yeah. I checked the skirmish camp, and no, they don't have any after
Yeah,
50.
no, because you only get one weapon as a runekeeper. There's really no substitutes. So basically, I'm going to have to find the highest crafted level non-LI runestone that I can get and just stick with that for forever. And it should be fine. I mean, I'm sure they're not even going to really notice because I've got my traits, and I'm the squishy anyway. So we could just blame it on I'm squishy.
I mean, it's clearly how SSG wants us to play the game.
Right. Because yeah, there's no way I'm doing an LI grind on 6 LIs for a runekeeper. That's not happening. I didn't even do it for the 2 LIs that Terry has.
You're welcome.
And thank you. Thanks again to Senswinda and Maven and Colton and Guarandis for getting me scrolls so that I didn't have to, because I wasn't going to do the grind, and I'm still not going to do the grind. Weirdly, I've been shunting all of the scrolls that are dropping right now from mission stuff to Well Dressed, because he can use them up to level 74, like tier 74. And you know, the imbued ones that you get for the level 120 Valor are good, but they could be better. So, you know, at some point he'll max out on those, and then I'll probably start shunting them to my Guardian that I will never play because he's stuck at level 120 at the Bjorning Hoos.
Don't worry, he only needs 217 scrolls per LI of the good ones.
Right. But I've got, you know, I can get up to as many as I want of the tier 74 ones by doing my 12 missions a week. And then noms in the moors. Noms were actually pretty good in the moors last night. We nommed a couple of things. I got a killing blow on a hunter that I've been trying to get a killing blow on. But, you know, when you run in a pack, you can't really predict who's going to get the final blow on the guy. And so everybody else has gotten killing blows on this particular hunter, some of them twice, and I had not. And I finally landed one last night, and I was very excited. And I did a haha cackle so hard that my voice was scratchy for like half an hour afterwards.
You know, it's really nice of him to provide that service.
It's still kind of funny because you know, the nerf that they did on creeps was kind of a baby nerf as far as the worst were concerned, because I'm really not feeling it all that much. I get that some other classes in the moors were affected more than we were, but we don't have an AoE heal that affects anything other than the warband anyway. So, you know, you kill your things and you pop your howls and you're good. And it turns out that when you have 7 wargs and you've turned into a raid, that's a lot of concentrated DPS, and we're actually kind of really boss when we get to that many wargs.
As long as we don't encounter an equal number of freeps.
Yeah, as long as we don't, and well, anything more than like 4 will kill us. Yeah. Depending on the makeup, because it really kind of depends on what makeup you're running into for freep side. Because if you're running into, what do we had, there were like 3 hunters and a captain and a lore master, burglar, runekeeper, I think is what was in that group. And that actually
a lore master and a runekeeper. But we had a bunch of other people helping us.
Yeah, we did have other people helping us. Once we called out that, hey, this is where they are, everybody shut up.
They killed us.
Because this is what happens when you screw up the grind for LI scrolls. Nobody wants to do it, so everybody's like sitting around bored in either Grams or they're doing the GV camp. And when you tell them that there are freeps other than GV, everybody shows up. So you end up with a lot of really bored creeps on your hands that have done nothing, and they're like, rah! And stuff dies really fast. It's actually kind of great. I actually sat in 3 or 4 different outposts after helping to kill the Captain General and some freeps that were in the area, and didn't touch the banner once because I didn't really need to, because when you've got like 5 other creeps scouting the banner, you don't really need to add your thing to it. The progress bar is just going to go. Yeah, so probably my LOTRO time going forward is going to be War of 3 Peaks, grind horribleness, and missions awfulness. I'm kind of really over missions. I really am. I'm just doing them so I can get my 15 out of the week, so I can get my stupid embers. I traded in a bunch of moats for embers. No, not for embers. Moats for figments. And now Sarissa is the proud owner of the shoe emote. So that was a thing that also happened this week because you've got a cap on moats. You can only have so many, and it's 6,000 moats, 6,000 figments for that emote. So I had enough moats I could trade them over, and voila, she has a spiffy new emote that she can't actually use because she's almost entirely solo run and nobody sees her. It's really disappointing. So Pine Leaf, how was your week?
I'll begin with my honor warden, who met the first of the Maidens of the Five Rivers, Roaming Star. And of course, as usual in this, I get sent on the quest to look for someone where I get introduced to Roaming Star. I get back to Lean here. Then someone gives me a quest that eventually sends me to look for these maidens of the river that no one's ever believes that exist anymore. And I just talked to one. And then, of course, I go there and she, of course, doesn't recognize me because the epic quest and the landscape quest don't recognize the existence of the other ones. Oh well.
That's okay, because at some point when you're in Gondor, you have to talk to one of those, one of the river maidens, and then you promptly meet someone and you're like, oh, I met that one, and nobody in Gondor believes you. They believe in them, but you're like, hey, I just had tea and biscuits with them, and they're like, you did not. We're going to leave this out here for them, this little basket. And I'm like, I could take that to them. I know where she is, and they don't believe you. They don't.
Well, I think the act of putting it into the river is part of the respect given to them. So just taking it to her, I don't think it's quite the same feel there. Then during the field trip, we discovered a word hoard several times. Another case where the epic story and the landscape stories just don't quite sync together because we get sent there.
Word hoard?
Yeah.
Yeah, the word hoard.
I'm sitting here thinking of Smaug on a big pile of words, dictionaries and stuff. I know
Calabathi, you need to come to my house because I am
Smaug
that
is a
dragon.
librarian.
Yeah, I'm trying to become a librarian right now. I'm just saying, I could just picture Smaug doing that pile of books, but one of them, of course, not being a dictionary because, that would actually have the word better in it. Okay, I'm going to stop now.
Then on Friday Night Fight, we attempted the Bloody Threshold, where we managed to take care of the first couple of rounds of the main battle, but then when we came to the big boss fight, we did manage to get through the first phase on two of the attempts, but the last phase we just haven't been able to get through that one yet. We didn't quite finish that, so I didn't finish up. So I didn't get credit for finishing up the Bloody Threshold. Perhaps some other time we will try this again.
Aptly named, was it?
Oh yeah, quite aptly named from it. But it'd be nice to see how this ends. But for now, I don't know because we were not able to finish that up.
I know how it ends. You know how it ends? It ends with SSG breaking Ella.
I already did that.
Yes.
Oh, they're going to make it worse. I mean, better.
Our top supporter this month is LOTRO Build. LOTROBuild.com is a collection of full LOTRO databases, including an item database, a relics database, and a titles database. Also, you can use it right from Discord server with the LOTRO Build bot. We currently have 16 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join the illustrious rate of players, you can go to the Nations page. You can support the LOTRO players. You can go to the Nations page. And your money will be used for podcast hosting or website hosting and to pay for our live shows. We did not receive any emails this week. If you'd like to send one, you can send it to podcast@lotraplayers.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at Players Alliance, at Players Ally, LotraPlayers, at LotraPlayers, Arendis, at Arendis, Finally Pip, Finally Neil, Senswinda, Senswinda, Terry Edwin, at Terry Edwin, Warendis, at Warendis, and Calabathian, at Calabathian. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. USC time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. USC time, we have LOTRO Players News. You can store to our shows at lotraplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.
And saltily.